In our next section, we'll talk about management of agile cross-functional teams, as it says here. And most of my questions will be for you, Daniel. But I will ask Enver just to jump in if we need him. Okay?
Yeah.
Great. So Daniel, I think it would be valuable if you could please explain the project management approach from CarePath perspective, like how CarePath project managers manage the process, how they communicated and aligned with Lemberg team on priorities, and what were like the typical issues they faced. Anything that startups can learn from you is appreciated.
Well, I think I'm going to answer your question from that perspective. As you know, I've worked with a lot of startups as a mentor. You know, obviously from your side, you know, don't want to beat that horse too much, but you know, after I got done with my consulting days, I was serving as a mentor for Techstars and some other accelerators here in Berlin. And you know, I've seen a lot of different ideas, but the one thing I've seen are also patterns on who've been successful as startups. And the structure that I found was interesting is startups that have a good project manager on their team that can act as a medium, if you would, between the stakeholders who are usually the co-founders and the engineering team tend to be more successful because project managers do a good job, a good project manager does a good job of communicating ambiguous requirements from the business side of the team to tangible requirements that could be better understood, processed, and then delegated by the technical team. And following that process means you have to get a good project manager in there. And so for CarePath, what we started off, when we started off development, which wasn't really that long ago, which was actually at the end of 2019, we put in place what I would say a strong project manager whom we really liked. And he was the one who started to organize really what the requirements needed to be for Enver and his team to execute on. That document that I wrote was a great place to start, but it wasn't enough really to produce the software that we needed. So the advice to startups would be to really think very hard about putting a big, not a big, but a very competent project manager who understands Scrum, who understands documentation, who understands how to communicate that, in a position of authority where they can kind of manage the players on the field and the different resources that are available, both internal and external, to keep everybody on task and focused. And that, I think, was very, very important for us. And as we got started, which this underscores what I just said, there were some regulatory changes that opened up an opportunity for us to be able to get our product into the marketplace sooner, but we had to get it done by May. And as we started to race towards that deadline, we brought on an extra project manager simply so that we had redundancy in that role. But we can also have them work as kind of paired project managers, if you would, to then be a double check on the documentation and to provide more throughput and to be more responsive for the needs of Enver and Lemberg's team in doing that. So that was, I think, one of my controversial decisions to my co-founder, but I really stand behind that because I think it got us on track and kept us focused to get to the deadline. So that's my kind of like point of attention I'd like to draw to some of the startups that might be tuned in today.
Cool, great. So I guess the takeaway from that is have a qualified project manager or project managers, and then preferably Scrum certified.